Why would you say Draymond getting taken out was the right move from Steve Kerr?
Well, in the playoffs, it's a matter of making decisions, like decision-making, right? And so it depends on how the game is being played. Certain teams go on runs, the matchup changes, and certain things happen throughout the game. And I think Steve Kerr made a solid decision on saying, hey, listen, right now we don't need Draymond in the game. We need something else. We need something that's a little bit different, maybe some more scoring or what have you. So I think the decision-making that Steve Kerr made was the right decision. As we see the result, with the game, they won game 4. But I do think there's an underlying message here, right? I feel like all the antics that's happening with Draymond, kicking the guy in the face and being, provoking guys into an argument and almost getting ejected, picking up technical fouls, all that negative energy kind of changes the momentum of the game. And so I think Steve Kerr somewhat had enough of that. And so I think he not only did he make a decision on changing the rotation because you want to win the game, but also sending a message to Draymond, say, hey, listen, I need you to focus more on the game of basketball and not all the antics. And so that's my opinion on why Steve Kerr made the decision on taking Draymond out of the game.
It seems to me like Draymond's going to the so-called antics because the offense is not working, the defense is not working. He has to get himself going somewhere. So it's like being an agitator. Yep. But Vince, I thought that was masterful from Steve Kerr because he took him out. They must have had to win the game. They were about to lose. They wound up, but then he put him back in. That's not just for his play. It's for the confidence and everything, too, right? End of the game. What are you seeing from Draymond, Vince, and where can he be better tonight?
Well, Max, let me say this, too. And when you need a stop defensively, that's when he's needed. Yes, offensive is the thing, and they got where they were comfortable offensively. Now they needed stops, and it's situational basketball. But for Draymond, it's continuing to be aggressive offensively, just looking at the rim, getting downhill. You saw the offensive rebound he got, and he threw it out for the open three, and they missed it. But you're by the rim. You have to attack, not allowing Boston to continue to play 1.5 defenders on Steph or Clay when he's coming off. And I mean 1.5 means that half defender, meaning I'm going to shade and go help on Steph and the half. And I mean, I see Draymond, but I'm not worried about Draymond. But if he continues to cut, if he continues to get passes or the dribble handoff where he keeps and goes layup, now they have to pay a little more attention to him, trying to keep him from just getting easy baskets. Because at the end of the day, a great defense, they don't want to give up easy baskets.
Hey, real quick, Vince, does Draymond need to play 4-on-3 to be successful? And if so, since when? Is that something new or you know what I mean?
Well, right now, I think that's when he's at his best, playing 4-on-3. You want that double team keeping up, and then he's a great decision maker with the ball in his hands. They feel comfortable when he gets rebound, he busts out and he starts to break, and he finds guys, gets them easy shots, dribble, handoff, everything. So yes, when he has the ball in space, in the center of the court or in the paint, he either can get that lob to Looney or threes, spraying out the threes for guys. So yes, that's when he's at his best. But like I say, when you're aggressive, everything will start to open up for their team because he makes it happen. And I credit him. He's trying to make the right play, and he's trying to do the right thing to win. But right now, doing the right thing is also looking at the rim, trying to be aggressive offensively.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move this along to the Celtics side. Jason Tatum hasn't had his signature NBA Finals moment so far through this series. After, Game 4, he was held to 23 points on 23 shots. Andrew Wiggins was the primary defender in Game 4. Tatum went 3 for 10 with 7 points, along with 2 turnovers. Tatum finished the game with 6 turnovers, and his poor finals performance continued. Listen, let's bring in our Celtics reporter, Tim Bontemps. Tim, how concerned are the Celtics with Tatum's shooting?
Well, Max, I would say this is a bit of a complicated question, right? Because obviously the Celtics would like Jason Tatum to be shooting better than 14 for 51 on 2-point shots. That's clearly not an acceptable percentage for a guy of his size and skill. Ime Udoka and Jason Tatum have both talked about the fact that they think he's doing a little bit too much foul hunting, going into the lane and trying to draw contact and throw something up and get a call, instead of going up through contact and finishing off 2 feet in particular. So I think that's something to look for tonight in Game 5. But I think overall, Max, the Celtics look at these games in this series the same way they've looked at the entire playoffs, and that goes for their defense on Steph and Curry as well. Now, Steph has been incredible in this series, but the Celtics, when they've won games in this series and in the playoffs, they've taken care of the ball, and they've won the possession game. As we've talked about many, many times on this show, Boston is 14-2 when they have 15 or fewer turnovers. They are 0-6 now when they have 16 or more. If the Celtics take care of the ball if they limit the Warriors on the offensive glass and they win the turnover battle, they, I think, are going to win 2 of the next 3 games, whether Jason Tatum shoots better or whether Stephen Curry continues to be a human inferno at the other end. So obviously they'd like Tatum to be better, but the Celtics' overall message going into Game 5 is if we take care of our business, we're going to be just fine. And we'll see tonight if they're right.
Well, hopefully that doesn't happen. Thank you, Tim Bontemps, as always. Vince, like I said, Tatum has not gone off yet, in spite of playing very, very well against KD and Giannis. Like, to get here, it's a big, big stage. Who are the Warriors more concerned about tonight? Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, do you think?
Max, in my opinion, they better be concerned about both. And I say they work in a tandem. Jaylen Brown is the guy that gets things started for the Boston Celtics because of his aggressive play out of the gates, playing one-on-one, creating shots for himself and others. And what it has allowed is Jason Tatum's ability to just work his way into the game, not putting the pressure on him to lead the Boston Celtics in the beginning, because Jason Brown is now taking that role. And then when he tires out or he's missing shots or more focuses on Jaylen Brown, now Jason Tatum can now take over games. So, and one thing I like what Bontemps said is he needs to play more under control. So now I think seeing Jaylen Brown going and not putting the pressure on himself, you see there, he can just work his way into the game and pick up where Jaylen Brown leaves off.
Amari, why is Tatum struggling? What adjustment should he make?
Well, you know what's happening right now is that in the playoffs, you got to give credit to the Golden State Warriors because they put together a solid game plan on how to guard Jason Tatum. They watched him torch, the Nets when I was with them. They watched him, go through Giannis and the guys there. And they also see him when they beat, the Miami Heat. So the Golden State Warriors have did a solid job with the scouting report, knowing what Tatum wants to do, knowing his strengths. So what they're doing now is trying to make it difficult for him. And he's allowing that strategy to make him frustrated, right? He's not scoring well. He's not, as you say, he didn't have that dominant finals game yet. But I think he needs to be more aggressive, go to the post, see the double team coming, and get to the basket.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.